Welcome to the Bear Down Level Up podcast, where we take you behind the scenes of logistics brokering and interview the brightest minds in business and logistics, sharing secrets to success so you can bear down and level up. Let's go.
I'm Desmond Clark, president of Bear Down Logistics, and this is my co-host, VP Louis Santana, and our heavy haul specialist. And this is Bear Down Level Up. This is when we take you behind the scenes to show you all the chaos, all the craziness, all the wins and losses that goes on at a logistics brokerage. But we don't just stop there. We're also going to bring on drivers. We're going to bring on owner operators. We're going to bring on executives and owners of big companies and let you hear from them also. So you're in the right place, whether you are trying to get in the game, whether you're in the game, or just want to understand what it really looks like to take on this responsibility of being a logistics broker. So as always, we're going to kick this thing off by going behind the curtain. But before we do that, I just want to give a little shout out. I want to give a shout out to my man, Jeremy Weiss, and the Rise 25 team. We couldn't do this without the Rise 25 team. They got us all organized. So if you want to do a podcast, make sure you go out and contact my guy, Jeremy Wise at Rise 25. And before we go behind the curtain, let's hear from our sponsor. This next segment is brought to you by Bear Down Logistics TMS Alvis. Just count the time your team spends jumping between tabs and spreadsheets, re-entering data just to move a single load. That's margin walking out of the door. The Alvis TMS has a complete fix for that. Trust me, they rescued me from the hell I was in with my first TMS I implemented when I started Bear Down. From tender to payment, your entire operation can live in one place. With built-in automation and intuitive workflows, freight operation teams across the country, including mine, are creating loads in under 2 minutes and getting 2 to 4 hours back every single day from these manual tasks. Start being less busy and become more productive. And let's get those loads loaded up and moved out. Go schedule your free demo. It was life-changing for me and Bear Down Logistics. Tell them Des Clark sent you, and that is Alvis, spelled ALVYS.com. All right, let's take you behind the curtain of Bear Down Logistics. But what we want to do today is kind of tell you how all this started. How me and this guy right here actually became partners and started to get into this heavy haul, this. Man, it's more project management than anything. Yeah, and you kind of taught me this side of logistics. But I want to know from you, did heavy haul? Did you go and just choose heavy haul? Was that something that you wanted to do from the beginning, or did heavy haul choose you?
No, I definitely think heavy haul definitely chose me. I mean, I was in the trucking industry back in 2016. Had a couple trucks, went the whole, investing in it, had a dispatcher, had a driver, just collected a check every week, didn't know anything much of what was going on. But in 2019, I actually was given the opportunity to become a broker. And
it's a crazy story behind those trucks. I think I remember you telling me this. You didn't even know how to drive trucks.
I still don't.
No, so what made you go out and buy a truck and you didn't know how to drive?
Just wanted to invest. I mean, I was 26 at the time, and I just wanted to invest in the business, right? So I had a buddy of mine that had a good connection with the dispatching company, and pretty much was running a couple of trucks by itself, and it just seemed good. He was just collecting a check every week and paying his driver, and everything was good at the time. So that pretty much said, let me buy a truck and drive myself.
All right, and you keep saying at the time. It was good at the time.
Yeah.
I'm noticing that you're saying it's good at the time. Yeah. What ultimately happened with that company?
Oh, I ended up selling it to my uncle, who then drove it down to the ground.
Okay. And then now you got that trucking company, how did you transition over into heavy haul?
So 3 or 4 years passed, and I was given their opportunity to come work for a brokerage, and that's when I was on the other side of the table. So
okay, and then was it, hey, come over and do heavy haul, or was it?
No. So at first you start off moving cars, so you're just wheeling and dealing cars, and if anybody knows about moving cars, I mean you're moving cars for like $50, sometimes $25, $75, which I mean, it's a good opportunity to start and stuff like that, but you're getting sold leads that are sold to maybe 50 other companies. So it's just, it is the
Lowest price, but
yeah,
it's basically
it's
low
a
price.
hustle. And in that time when I was with that company, you would have to do cars for, I think it was like the first 6 months, and then they would slowly trickle in a couple heavy haul leads and deals for you, see how you perform. But that didn't happen with me. I kind of just, I think I probably lasted maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and I was already doing heavy haul.
Okay. And how did you graduate to that quicker than most other people?
I mean, just great in the grind. I mean, I went in there every day. I was working 11 hours in the office every day, Monday through Saturday, for 10 months straight. Didn't miss a day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
11 hours a day.
Well, that kind of explains a lot to me now about the stuff that you do now.
Yeah.
This man is sick. And when I say this man is sick, I mean that in a good way. You got a sickness for working. He doesn't stop. He doesn't take a break. He naps at night and then he gets up and do the same thing over and over and over.
I'll stop for a quick minute, go shoot some hoops with the boys real quick, and my 2 sons out in the front, and then I'll come right back in and wheel and deal again.
Yeah.
So
as you graduated into heavy haul, what was that first big deal where you was like, hell yeah?
Actually, it was my first deal.
Okay.
It was my first deal. So again, going back, you weren't supposed to move heavy haul until you were 6 months in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or at least, you had some experience from a previous company. I had no experience at all. So 3 weeks in, I get one of the other heavy haul brokers comes out of his office. He kind of saw how I was like the one that was wheeling and dealing a lot with the cars. And I was always going into his office to kind of see what he was working on, what kind of money they were making.
Just being nosy.
Yeah, because I wanted to see what's the end goal here? Like, how far can I take this? Right. So he comes over to me and he's like, hey, you listen? I'm like, no, what's up? Of course, I was busy with cars, which you're always busy, but. And he's like, come here, come to my office when you have a chance. The office manager wouldn't have allowed it because, again, the 6 month rule.
Right.
So I go to his office. He's like, I got to move a coal miner. It was working. I can't remember the model.
Hold on, coal miner, like the one that we
It was a coal planner. I was a coal planner, working model. I can't remember the model number, but he comes in there. It's like, I got to move this thing here for him, but they speak only Spanish.
So if he needed just so
he said, if you could run it, you can have it. And I said, I'm looking at the picture of the coal plant. I'm like, how do I move this thing? And so I'm talking about within like 15 minutes, this guy gave me the quick rundown with step decks, RGNs, extendable RGNs, the max capacity on each axle. Like I'm sitting there, I'm just writing everything down as fast as possible. And so I said, let me just post it, see what's up, I'll come back. And then I know how to sell. I could sell. Okay. So I just said, let me figure out what the driver wants. And then I'll talk to the client. We'll figure out, because he's like, the client has a certain budget. I'm like, well, let me see what I get it booked for, and then we'll go back to the client. So I go back, I get the driver. I got a couple of drivers that are willing to pick up. I remember it was Connecticut to New Jersey. It was one Puerto Rico. Okay. We were just doing the domestic run. And I get the driver, and so I go to give him the price, and he's like, oh, that's a little up. I'm like, just give me the phone, give me the customer's phone. I'll call him. So I call him on the phone, and do I remember the conversation? No, I just kind of blanked out. I just went my selling thing. This is Rob guy, driver's ready to go. Here's this solution. Right. So what he wants to hear as a business owner. Because these guys call, they want the logistics. They want to move. This is the very small piece of their puzzle, right? So I call him. I guess the certainty, it's what I always tell the confidence. The confidence when you speak.
Yes.
He's like, you know what? Get it done. I think I made some good money.
No. What did you make on it?
It was for my first deal, for my first heavy haul deal, I made $2,600. I forget that. And I'm in my mind, I thought me and him were gonna split it. So I get the whole thing done. I remember we went to go pick it up. The driver went to go pick it up. It didn't fit in the well. The tracks didn't fit in the well for some weird reason. I saw the picture, and for me, it was just common sense. I asked them to do something to the unit. They ended up doing it. It fit. It fit. It ended up fitting into the well of the trailer. They get it delivered. Everything worked out, and I get the money. Everything's good. And I go to him. I'm like, hey, so we're splitting half. He's like, no, that's yours. After that,
It was over.
I went from $75 a car, okay, to $2,600 in one deal. That probably took me 50, but it wasn't so much that. I still have, well, not anymore, but up until last year, because of some situation, I had that client. So I had that client for 6 years after that. So it wasn't that I hit him real hard and he left, he never came back. No, I still gave him exceptional service from the very beginning all the way to the end of our relationship.
So he was getting what he paid for.
Right.
And that's always something that I talk about with you now and then. We'll get into that a little bit later. But like what you do, you're never going to be the cheapest. And that's okay. But like what people get from you, and I've seen it over and over, they get something from you that they're not going to get from other brokers. They're going to get the detail. They're going to get the hand holding. They're going to give it to me. You don't got to worry about it. And so that's why you typically charge just a little bit more than the average broker.
And then not just that, I also pay my drivers what they want to get paid. Right. I don't give a damn how these other brokers are operating. I sell it for real. Right. I go call my driver. I figure out what he wants to get paid. I don't beat him down on the prices. And then I come back and I tell my customer, because at the end of the day.
But why is that important though? Because I don't think people understand, and we're going to talk to a driver a little bit later in this show, but I don't think people understand the importance of the driver, because sometimes they get treated like shit.
Right.
But so why is that important that you make sure the driver is getting what they want?
Because without them, we literally have no business. We can have all the clients in the world, but if we're not getting drivers to book our loads, do it because somebody's going to book it, right? Somebody's going to book it for. Well, now market's kind of shifting now, but we would get drivers to book loads for super cheap, but but they're not doing a good job. They're showing up in sandals. They're not in full PPE. They got a sticker on the side of the truck. Their truck hasn't been washed in days, like in weeks. So you want quality, right? And so you're picking up from manufacturers, you're picking up from businesses, and you pull up with this raggedy truck, or you pick up with a truck or with a driver that has a terrible attitude, is pissed off that he got it at such a low rate. That's exactly what your customer's going to see. And that's a direct reflection to your business.
Right.
So by treating the driver the right way, your business will turn around.
Right. And I think most of the people do it just the opposite of what you do. Right. Hey, what are you willing to pay, customer?
Right.
Right. And then they take that and try to fit the driver into that.
It does not work. I did that for the first 5 years. It does not work. Unfortunately, that was, with all due respect, the customer does not dictate the price, the driver does.
Yes. And that's why I've seen over the last 2 years, your relationships with the drivers is immaculate. Everybody loves working with Louis.
Right. Some of them have become friends.
Yeah. Now let's fast forward. Now, a couple years ago, we meet, and at the time for Bear Down Logistics, I didn't know anything about heavy haul. And to be quite honest with everybody out there, we really did not have like an identity. It was give us whatever the hell we can get and let us move it.
Right.
And so we was doing some dry van stuff. We was doing some flatbed stuff. We had some box truck stuff, but there was not an identity. And me and you, we met at what's the name of the FK? Fresh Kitchen.
Yeah.
We met for lunch. Yeah, we met at Fresh Kitchen, and we sat down. And I just remember you telling me about all of this big stuff that you can do. And I admitted this to you before, that I was like, if he could do a third of what he says he could do, we'll be pretty doggone. It'll be good, because you know how I go. Most people, they talk, and I told you about the stories of people that I hired before. They talked a big game, and then when they got there, nothing. But you were the total opposite. You talked a big game. You didn't even tell me the whole game and everything that you had, planned in your head. I think for you, it was kind of like, let's get in the door,
one thing at a time,
and then we'll open up all this other stuff. Right. So we kind of talk about that conversation that we had at Fresh Kitchen.
Well, first I want to start with when I knew about Des, I knew about you years before, right? Mm-hmm. So, to the grapevine, through the industry or whatever. And I remember hearing how it was W-2 at one point, and then they became brokers became subcontracted, and then so I was seeing the shift, and I'm like, okay, well, the shift is happening so drastically inside. It must be a place that it's easy to build from. Like you could go and we can I can give my ideas. So it was always in the back of my mind. So when I finally came over you and you were like, yeah, just let's meet and talk. You know me, I'm like, I'll just throw all the things on the table. It's like, it just influx of information, just too much. So I was like, just kind of get in, make sure everything's right, show them where verbally, and then everything else will fall into line. Because my plan was what exactly happened, which was come in, close some deals out before you say anything about marketing or like building the company.
You close some deals out.
Right. So close some deals out first, put some money up on the board, and then say, okay, this is my plan. Only because you had shown and given me the opportunity pretty much to create.
It's one thing that we talked about, and this is just the DNA of the company. You said when we sat down, and you was telling me all this stuff that you could do, and you said that I kind of stopped and I reversed everything and say, all right, so what do I need to do?
Oh yeah.
To help make you successful so you can do all of this stuff that you're telling them.
Right. So you were listing out, so I'm telling you what I could get done and promising this amount in revenue a year and all this and the third. And it's so, the conversation, I'm trying to sell myself because I want to make sure I secure this position. Right. And I think you had stopped me at one point. You're like, I think you wrote it down and you were doing something.
I had it in my phone.
You were writing them down. You're like, okay. And I see you writing, you're like, so you need this subscription and you need this subscription. And it's like, and I'm just saying, yeah. And you're like, so what else do you need to be successful? And I'm like, wow, hold on. This just shifted because I was trying to sell myself for a second. And all of a sudden he's trying to make sure that I'm as comfortable as possible for me to succeed and get all the tools. And the fact that you admitted, you're like, listen, I don't know anything that you're talking about. I don't know about Happy Hall. This will be literally, you'll be running this thing. What do you need from me?
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, you could have
teach it to me.
You could have learned it in the numbers. You could have saw it in the numbers sense and like, yeah, the numbers are good. Let me get this guy the opportunity. But the fact that you did that in the first place, being that I came from the industry, knowing the industry, that's not how it goes. That's where I was like, okay, me and this guy are very well together.
And
opportunities are endless.
And I really just wanted you to tell that story because when I'm out speaking, I tell the story about me as a leader on the company, blah, blah, blah. But the way I look at things, and this wasn't just you, and you learned about this as you came on with everybody else. The question is always, how can I make the people who are working with me successful?
Yeah.
And let's just keep it real. It ain't just because I got this altruistic motive. I want to make money too.
Yeah.
But the pathway for me to make as much money as I can is to help you make as much money as you can, to help Corey make as much money as he can, help Mike make as much money as help all the guys make as much money as they can, because they're splitting that with the company. And my mindset is, you don't work for me. I'm your business partner. You're 1099, you got your own business. Corey has his own business, and we're business partners. So we need to be trying to make each other as successful as possible.
Yeah.
And if I can make you guys successful, I'm ultimately making myself successful.
Right.
But what that does is now we're pulling from the same side of the table.
Right. Leadership 101. That's what it is.
So now we're here. Now we're doing big shit, Sometimes it just blows me away of where how fast.
So because it might seem like we got everything all, but this was, I mean, so much stuff has changed. So I started in 2020.
You started the end of 2024.
October, September of 2024. Really, I say I started in October because that's when I got paid first.
Yeah.
So, the first couple weeks, I remember I kept calling this. I'm like, hey, I got something coming. I got something. It was probably a week and a half after, but for me, it was like a month or two, it felt like. But once it happened, I felt like that's when I had my opportunity to tell Des what my plans were with Bear Down, which was the marketing, putting ourselves out there, instead of going out, because he was having a lot of guys call out for business. And anybody that does cold calling, you know what that pain is like. And that's not, I'm not that type of guy. I can't do it. So, I saw as an opportunity to, let's do some marketing. Let's get people to call in for our services. Now that we have a whole different or a whole nother department, pretty much heavy haul.
All right.
So I showed him the idea, the SEO, right?
Yeah.
And then we sat down with the Google ads and all that stuff to bring in more to bring in traffic to the website and to the company. And then I invested with him.
Yeah. And that's the other part. You had all these ideas, and you vomited it all over me.
Yeah. I remember that message. I remember after I got off the phone call with my wife, I got off the phone, I looked at my wife, I was like, do you think I was doing too much? She's like, you're just very passionate. So I feel understand. Like, he doesn't know me. He probably thinks I'm fucking that crazy.
No, but the thing that captured me on that was, hey, I'll do half.
Yeah.
I'll put up half.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I believed in what I was telling you.
No, but for me, it showed me that you have the same mindset that I have. Like, we're in this together, right? We're gonna be partners. We're in this together. We practically split everything right down the middle. So the next day when I called you back, that's the thing that was sitting with me all night, is that this dude is like really committed to this, that he's willing to put up half of whatever it's gonna take. And it took a lot.
It took a lot.
Yeah. And we went through this, and then we went through this. Yeah. We stayed here, and then now it's the uptrend, and we sit in the fruits of that faithfulness that we put into that. But for somebody who wants to do heavy haul, man, that wants to get into heavy haul, that they're hearing you, and there's like $2,600. Oh, now. $2,600 a year.
That's good. 26 is so good. Yeah.
But listen, we always got to keep it real with the super loans and things that we're doing now.
Project stuff.
Yeah, the project stuff. It pays well, and there's no need to hide from it. But $2,600 on moving an excavator or something like that, that's good money. So if somebody's saying, man, damn, I like the way that sounds, what type of advice would you give them to like kind of crack the door open and start to move into this section of logistics?
So they're already in the industry?
Already? Or maybe not in the industry, either one.
Well, if you're not in the industry, get in. Okay. Get in and just start with cars. And self-education is everything. I've taught myself a lot of things in different sectors and different businesses, a lot of this stuff, and then I'll meet people throughout, with time. I think that anything that you decide to do in life, business-wise, career-wise, or whatever, don't limit yourself to what others can teach you to get there. Go out and like teach yourself. I mean, if you don't mind, I'm going to step out here a little bit. I started developing houses back in 23, and I taught myself everything about developing houses through YouTube and Google. And then I went out and met the people and learned a little bit more. But what got me to kick the door open and step foot into that room was my self-teaching. So go out. If you're not in the industry, knock on some doors, go get into the industry. It's going to be hard at first. Save up 6-7 months of money. You need some run. Oh, yeah, get 6 months of bills, put away and stuff and go, because once you cross that, you're not going anywhere. But heavy hauls is fun. I love the deal, and I love the relationships.
We show them this mini documentary we did on this Texas load. People gonna be like, wow, like it's fun. It's a TV show. You have the drama. They're gonna see the drama that came with it. They're gonna see all of that stuff, like the lead up, the introduction. Like it's a whole show for every super load, man.
With the dramatic music in there.
Yeah, with it, Tim, we appreciate Tim Daniels, Rack Studio. We appreciate you, brother. But I was just thinking, we we kind of put this heavy haul masterclass together. So if anybody wants to learn heavy haul, look, I compile along with Lewis this masterclass that we put together on AI. I'll be happy to share that with anybody who wants to break into this industry, because look, I think many of you think the same way. We're not trying to, this is ours, right? This is, I think we both came into this and we're moving forward with, and let's just be a beacon of that light that's shining for logistics and heavy haul, and let's just try to make the industry better and have good people representing this industry. And if we can help do that, you guys let us know. So, man, you ready to bring on this next guest?
Yeah, let's bring them on.
Let's bring on
DTLF.
DTLF. So we got DTLF Transportation coming on, Clayborn Fields. 8 years in the military, man, and 8 years in the Navy. That's actually where he met his wife and married her in 2002. Here's the interesting thing. After spending some time out here with us civilians in this world, they locked in and they spent 2 years developing and putting a plan together so they can be financially free at whatever point that is. I don't know. We're going to get into that. But that's just amazing to me that they had the foresight to say, all right, let's put something together so in the future we'll be financially free. I spent 2 years on it. This is where he discovered that he likes to drive. And this is his quote. He said, because I get to meet dope people all over this nation. We're going to bring Clayborn and DTLF on. But before we do that, let's hear a word from our sponsor who makes this all possible.
At Bear Down Logistics, we don't just move freight, we move standards. For the brokers who are serious about their craft, the ones who don't guess, don't scramble, and don't chase, but execute with precision, discipline, and purpose. Bear Down Logistics was built for you, because when you're operating at a high level, you don't need more options, you need the right partner. And for leaders responsible for moving freight inside your organizations, from sprinter vans to full truckloads to the most complex heavy haul and superload projects in the country, you don't get paid for average. You get paid for certainty, for execution, for getting it done right the first time. That's where we come in. At Bear Down Logistics, we specialize in solving the problems others can't. We bring clarity to complexity, and we execute the details in excellence consistently over time. That is the process of greatness. So if you're a broker looking to level up, or a decision maker who refuses to leave execution to chance, it's time to partner with a team that operates like you do. Bear down and let's level up. Visit us at beardownlogistics.com. Again, that is beardownlogistics.com.
So we got Clayborn Fields from DTLF Transportation. Thanks for joining us, Clayborn. How are you doing today, my man?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me, sir. Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. It looks like you out there on the road right now as we speak.
Yes, sir. As a matter of fact, I am. I'm coming from back from my hometown, Chicago. Coming back through that way. Actually, it started from Wisconsin, and I'm working my way down to Oklahoma. Once I get to Oklahoma, I'll probably pick up another job taking me all the way back to Texas. So, I like to travel, man. So, and then my wife and I, we got our hands in a couple of different pots. So, got to make some money, man.
And we're going to get into that because you got an interesting story. First with the Navy, you met your wife there. Y'all got married in 2002. But what's interesting is that, you own a trucking company. You're not just a truck driver. You actually own the company. And you guys, they spent 2 years developing this master plan to become financially free as owners of a trucking company. Man, take us back to your Navy times, and then when you got out of the Navy, and then how did you go on this journey and that had that 2-year planning gap, and then started to execute that?
Okay, so the reality is that shortly after I left high school in '98, class CVS, Chicago Vocational, got to give them a shout out. I I went to school, and well, I'll be honest with you, I spent like an ass ton of my dad's money, and he wasn't really all that happy about that. So, but I like to move around a little bit. So I couldn't really figure out what direction I really wanted, and I and my cousin, I have an older cousin. He joined the Navy before me, and he started telling me about all the places that he had been to. And I think that's when the initial bug of loving to travel kind of hit me. So I joined the Navy in '99, and um, I bounced from both the East Coast and the West Coast. So I was stationed in Virginia first, Little Creek, and this was in '99. And then I got stationed in California off of 32nd Street, Main Street. And but in between that, in 2002, I met my wife, and we got married in 2002. A lot of people don't know that, but the same year I met my wife, the same year I got married.
Hey, you see it, you had to switch it up, right? Hey, ain't letting nobody else get in between him.
Yeah, that knows what he wants.
Yeah, so we've been together ever since. We had a child in 2005. He's now 21, and oh man, I'm so happy. I have 3 children. Okay, so DTLF, just to explain that's where the name come from Deontay Taylor and Levon Fields. So I'm not doing this just for myself. I'm actually doing this for them. I feel like that's very important to start creating a very serious but simplistic and easy business to operate, with the understanding, with no intentions to really grow super massive, but at the same time not limiting myself. So I should point out that I'm the youngest of 6 children, and it was always installed in us to be the best version of ourselves, and to never limit ourselves. I have a brother right now in Colorado. He's actually a politician. He's an alderman.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Y'all can take that 2-year, and because that's long. And then the fourth out of being financially free.
Well, okay, so I bounced around from different jobs. And in fact, I'll be honest, I even got let go of a few different jobs, and I really, poured my heart and soul into it. So I started realizing that I was making somebody else rich. And I thought, well, why can't I have that for myself? So while working at Frito-Lay, I spent every moment of every day trying to figure out, how can I become financially free? And then that's when I noticed there was this one guy, I can't remember his name right now, but he started talking to me about box trucks. And then that's when I realized that, well, I could do that too. But I felt like I would have been jumping into the deep end without at least giving myself a chance to maybe kind of see if this is really something I wanted to do. So I started off initially driving Uber, and that's when I got bit by the bug, because all I ever wanted to do was the long trips and just meet really dope, cool people and stuff like that. And then it progressed from there, and I started looking at box trucking businesses is where it's at for somebody who just want a real chunk of the cake. And much like Mike Tyson when he was locked up, that's all I did was just permit myself to think about just that one thing. How am I going to get to where I want to be at? And what is going to be the most efficient way to do it? So wife sat down with me, and we did as much research as we could. And I just, once we saved up the funds to be able to, get off the ground and everything, I jumped right into it, and I haven't looked back since. We've been operating now 9 months.
Okay. And Louis, you said some of the same thing when you gave them advice about how to get into heavy haul. You said save up some funds.
Save up some money. But one thing, Clayborn, I commend you on is the first thing you did was sat with your wife. Because a man with a woman behind him that supports him in those big things and those big decisions says a lot. But yeah, for sure, we definitely want to have some chunk of change.
Oh yeah, when it comes to my wife, that is one of the most amazing, my most favorite person in the whole wide world, and my best friend. I wanted her to be a part of this, and she was like, no. She doesn't like the camera that much. So. I love you,
Yeah,
baby.
I
Hi,
remember
Maria,
somebody.
that's the name.
She'll get to see it. She'll get to see it.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
yeah, I
so
hope so.
tell us about that. Tell us about the life now. So you've been in it for 9 months, right?
Right.
For people that don't understand the life of someone who drives trucks, are you the person that come home every night? Are you out on the road, for a week at a time?
Yeah.
How does that work?
So okay, I'm really happy that you asked that question. So I'm gone for 2 weeks minimum, but this time I've been out for 3. All right, it's the reason being is because of well, what's going on in the world. It has affected us all. All right, and
Rates
so
are
these
good
gas
right
prices.
now. Rates are good. The rates are good. You gotta milk the cow so there's no more milk. So you gotta milk the cow, no more milk.
Oh yeah, exactly. So I I will be honest with you. I love driving, so that much doesn't bother me. But I'm on the road for at least 2 to 3 weeks, and then I come home for a week. And when I'm home, I make it a point to be home. To make sure I spend time with my wife. To show her, to give her appreciation and everything. And with our youngest child, although he's in college, he's still at our house. And then also, this is a side note, but a friend of mine, she's kind of run into a little bad luck, so we got her son living with us as well. But this is the way. That's the only way that I can make money these days.
So I know when we were talking about Clayborn, you said you had some financial questions. Clayborn, we're about to get nosy now.
Okay.
Lewis wanted to get nosy with you, so that's Lewis. This ain't me asking about your personal business, your financial. But just
Okay.
just so this was something that you planned for 2 years, correct? Before
Yes, sir.
you leap into the. So
Yes, sir.
I don't want to compare it to brokering or anything like that, but coming into a new business, you don't expect to make money right away, right?
Oh no.
Or
No.
you make money, you don't expect to get paid, as fast as you'd like. What was what was your plan? What was the process? What did you foresee? And how much did you, let me ask him for real what it is. How much did you actually have to save for you to make that leap into that new business and be prepared to go in and be ready to not get paid for a while?
So we did this a couple of different ways. We have the credit card is the backup. All right, but and so that has like its own limit. But so we saved somewhere between, I want to say, about $25,000, respectfully. Okay, because we want to put so much money down on buying a truck that would be reliable. So that was the key thing. We had to make sure that we got a truck that didn't have a million miles on it, but was relatively broken in. And we were able to find something, and you know it's serving its purpose, it's doing us very well and stuff, little things here and there. But I'll tell you right now, if you're not walking into this, especially in today's market, you don't have at least $25,000 saved up and ready to rock and roll for a box truck. All right. Um, then it's gonna hurt, and it's gonna hurt a lot, because you just wouldn't be able to make it. You can't. It's impossible. Okay. I know guys, they go out and they'll rent a truck, and then they'll have to pay the weekly rental fee, and then turn around and have to pay the mileage on that.
Wow. Yeah, sentence. That's all right. You saying that's a that's right. That, hey, if you do it that way, and then I noticed. So I want to back up. You were talking about starting something for you and your family that was, you used the word easy, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
when I think about starting a business, I don't necessarily think easy, but you use that word. Would you say it was easy for you to come into this business and start this operation, start to make money, and now it's going, you know, I don't know how well, great or average or whatever that is, but I'm just focusing on that word easy. Was it easy for you to get everything going? And if it was, if it wasn't, why was it or why wasn't it?
Thank you. Actually, I should correct myself. It was not easy. It was not easy. This was
I was wondering.
so. I think what I was trying to say was it doesn't take a lot of it. It doesn't hurt when the plan is or what I see for the future is that it's not I want to say difficult to maintain. Have basically okay. You know how you have a process of doing things? I want to make sure that process, that the system of doing things, of running the company is not, the most stressful, part. Okay. I don't know if I'll get there, but the aim is that for when my children take over, which is what I want them to do, is that they don't have a hard time transitioning into doing that if they so choose to.
So,
If that makes sense.
Clayborn, really quick, you said something. I'm about to jump all over it. Damn it, Clayborn, you know you're going to get there. You got to know you're going to get there. I heard you say, I don't know if I'm going to get there. So that
it's up to you. You will if you want.
Yes.
So all you're
You
doing
know what?
is
Thank you. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Yes. Yeah.
So what you're building right now for DTLF is a legacy, right? So you're focused on processes, systems, so that when you pass it down, it's already there. Your kids can just follow along. Everything is streamlined. Everything's efficient. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard because you're the one pretty much molding and building the foundation of what's going to be passed down. So
Exactly.
appreciate the trip.
So I'm going through all the growing pains, whatever it takes.
But it's worth it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this same thing you're doing, same thing I'm doing. We talk about our kids and our boys and our families all the time. So now you say that you like meeting dope people. That's one of the reasons you like driving and getting around all the country. Tell us one of the most dopest interactions that you've had. And then we're going to pivot from that and tell us one of the most shitty experiences that you had.
All right. So last place I was at. Okay, and this is I'm currently I'm in Missouri, and this was, I believe, if I'm pronouncing this right, it's called Luxembourg. I met a young man. We're in the same age group, I should say, and he's starting his own small little food business as well. And I just delivered a bunch of basically some cardboard boxes for him to his house. And him and we just had a real nice, just fly dope conversation about everything and nothing. And I guess where I'm going with this is that, I guess I remember having stereotypes about how people were from different sections of this nation and everything, or the world. And after being in the military and traveling the world like several times and realizing I was dead wrong. I get to do that same thing in this nation, and just to talk to another business owner and everything. And we were just kind of just trading shots. He was telling me, about the pros and cons as far as running his own little, his own grocery business and everything like that. And I was telling him about the trucking and then in a lot of cases, I deal with, I might pick up at like a major facility or a warehouse or whatever, but I've been noticing quite honestly, I deliver to a lot of small businesses and everything, and so I can't, I've had great experiences with everybody. And the most shittiest experience I had was in that part of Kentucky. And I knew I could tell I needed to get in and get out of there, man. That's it.
Now, Lewis started laughing when you said Kentucky. I want to know what he was laughing about over here.
No, I've heard some stories of Kentucky.
Yeah, man, they true. I knew.
Listen,
hold on. I'm from the south side of Chicago. I know when danger is imminent, so I know how to get away from that.
I just want to put it out here, Kentucky. Bear Down Logistics, DTLF. We don't have no problem with the Kentucky people. We want y'all freight too.
Yeah.
So go ahead, tell us about that shitty experience now, since we got the disclaimer.
Okay, all right. And I probably shouldn't have said Kentucky, so I do apologize. I've been through Kentucky several times. It was just this one little incident. Um, it was at a, it was at a truck stop, and guy, I don't know if he was a trucker or what his situation was, but this is just one negative experience. Um, he acted like he wanted to fight me, and I think he was, something wasn't right with him or whatever, and I had to kind of I had to I had to check him, and let him know that don't take my meekness for weakness.
Yes,
Right.
sir.
But
That South Side came basically what you're saying.
man, oh no, yeah, no, I had to do my box breathing because he definitely pushed all the right buttons. you know, uh, Keep that adrenaline down. I call it controlled chaos and everything. And I just swore to myself, as long as he don't touch me, I won't touch him, so, but luckily we was able to get out of that. Oh, but as far as a broker go, I just had one broker. He just wouldn't stop calling me every 2 hours, just wouldn't stop calling me and everything like that. So, that's really the only negative experience I've really had on a road. I try to I try to make sure that whenever I speak to someone, the first thing I say, good morning, this is Clayborn. Hello, this is Clayborn. And then I ask them how they're doing. It really disarms people and keeps them from maybe taking things in a negative light.
Yeah, absolutely. And you kind of led me to my next question, Claymon. With us being brokers, right? And you,
Yeah.
we met each other. If you want to
Yeah.
take 30 seconds and talk about how we actually met each other before it became full circle with this right here. But you actually picked up one of our loads through our guy Corey Davis, and Corey is like, "Hey man, you met this guy? Reach out to him." And so
Mm.
you told him the story about how we first met. We didn't know each other, and it's just interesting how this came back full circle. So talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah. So I don't know, I don't remember the official name, but the Chicago Bears was playing were playing and everything, and they would do a welcome home heroes and everything. And a great he's a good family member of mine. He was being welcomed home because he's a scout sniper in the army, and later became an army ranger. So which is like elite forces for the army, if I'm correct. Again, I was in the Navy, so excuse me, Army, if I got that wrong. Um, but yeah, so while he was receiving that award, I got a chance to meet you, and I was telling him, you know, that one of the things about shaking hands with like wide receivers and super athletes, and hands look like the size of like bricks and laptops and everything, and I don't have a very big hand myself, so it's kind of man of my vocabulary that hurt a little bit. I didn't see my hand no more. So no, but yeah, so this was I want to say this was 2004, 2003 maybe. Again, we're talking some 23 years ago, so please, forgive me on that one. But yeah, that's how we initially met. And I met you, and I met Musain Muhammad, and I met someone else. I just don't remember who that was. So that was fun. That was great. So when I made the initial call, yeah. So when we made the initial call and I saw Bear Down Logistics, I was like, oh wow, this, that's a very particular thing. No one says that. No one knows to say that. So when I asked, I was like, oh wait a minute, I met that man. Yeah, that's awesome. So that like made my day right there.
Wow. Yeah, Corey told me that story. Man, so talking to other drivers and other business owners of trucking companies, how would you coach them to work with brokers? And then how would you coach brokers to also work with drivers like yourself?
Well, I think everybody needs to be able to set realistic goals. Okay, realistic expectation. I and then two, I like to always remember to treat people like they're me. Okay, so Mr. Clark, what if I treated you like you were me, and what if you treated me like I was you? What if everybody treated everybody like they were everybody else? You know, and with respect and dignity and kindness and love and everything like that. You know what I'm saying? Render them aid if they need it, for example. So that's just something, that's my approach, not just in business, but just in dealing with any and everybody, to be willing to, it's all about the yes, willing to compromise, willing to work with, two people and to try to reflect on where this individual who I'm speaking to, where they're coming from. You see what I'm saying? So that makes correspondence and transitional experiences much easier and better. Nobody, listen, at the end of the day, nobody want to go home fucked up. Excuse my language. I'm so sorry. I can't curse like that, right? Nobody wants to leave the job, with something on their mind and carry that to work. No one wants to do that, or carry that home, excuse me. No one wants to do that. And no one should be forced to do that either. It's not fair. Okay. So I always try to keep that in mind. And then if someone's having a bad day, I try not to take it personal because, well, shit, I ain't did nothing to you. Then you don't know me. So, if you got a problem, you don't have a problem with me. It's a problem with you, not me, you. So I don't have to get myself worked up and stressed out. Listen, I'm actually, believe it or not, I'm a naval combat vet. All right. And I ain't dodging bullets and ain't nobody trying to blow me up. All right. So
Good.
Stick some stones. Stick some stones.
Hey, so Lord, you got anything else, man?
No, I'm just intrigued with the whole story, how you guys met from 23 years ago all the way full circle to a podcast.
Yeah, when neither one of us was in this industry, right? And now we come full circle
in a whole different sector.
So Clayborn, DTL, right? What type of stuff do you haul? Where can people get in contact with you? I mean, do the whole promotion right now. You got the whole floor to yourself. Promote yourself. Let people know where they can get in contact with you at, because obviously they're going to see just from looking at this what type of person you are, how you conduct yourself, how you run your business. And from when you called us and you moved our stuff, Corey came back and said, hey, this man did a fabulous job, on time, communicative. Everything just worked out flawlessly. So we appreciate that. So how can other people get that service that you gave us?
Well, the easiest way is by contacting one of the two numbers, 726-437-2010 or 210-901-1601. If you prefer, you can also contact us via email. That is dtlf.td@gmail.com. All right. I want to inform everybody. One thing about my business that I carry from the Navy: sustained superior performance. That's what you get when you call DTLF. Thank you, and I appreciate it. Oh, can I just do one little thing?
Oh, absolutely. Go ahead.
If it's all right, I would just like to say hello to my mom and rest in heaven to my dad. He died 10 years ago now. My brother Darrell, Remar, Jetty Fontaine, Darvette, rest heaven, and Santana, Kelly, and just everybody up in Chicago, man. I love y'all, man.
Yes, sir, man. This man be on the road. You be thinking about his people, man. Y'all make sure y'all give him a man a call, Clay. And I just, man, we friends now. I just shortened your name, and I ain't even mean to. So I don't know if you call you Clay. If I call you Clay, I appreciate.
People call me they either call me Clayborn or Clay B or Clay.
Okay, all right, man. But again, thank you again.
Thank you.
If you're running a freight brokerage and still chasing payments like we were a few years ago before Hall Pay, dealing with carrier fraud or leaving money on the table, you need to check out Hall Pay. They give brokers like you and me flexible, non-recourse capital. Let me say that again, non-recourse capital. That's a game changer. Automated carrier payments and a verified payment network that protects you from fraud on both sides of every transaction. You can even earn revenue from quick pay. And if you work with small fleets, HaulPay has carrier factoring programs for them also. So everyone in the transaction gets taken care of. It's the payment and finance platform built specifically for freight. Check out my guys at haulpay.io. That's spelled HAULPAY.io.
This is Corey's Corner, but Corey's not here today. The first one that we do, he don't make it.
Yeah.
It's slacker, man.
It's a lonely corner.
It's a slacker.
Yeah.
No, but in all seriousness, Corey just had his first kid. And hold on. One thing we always joke about. Corey's a white guy.
Corey Davis.
You guys are gonna see Corey. He's a white guy. White guy. And when I thought I was meeting Corey Davis, I thought I was gonna meet a brother like myself. White guy walked into Starbucks. Corey just had a son. And they named the son Nathaniel Davis.
Nate Davis.
That is the blackest name that I've heard in my life. Nate Davis. It's even blacker than Corey Davis. So yeah, they're gonna be thinking, man, we got a Nate Davis coming in, probably a black guy, African-American guy, probably a cool brother. Nate Davis is gonna walk in the door and they're gonna be like, damn. But hey, we just want to introduce this segment of Corey's Corner, which y'all gonna find out about Corey. Corey is kind of quirky. He has all these different things. If you hadn't checked out his social media, check it out. He's always talking about something off the wall somewhere. So what Corey's gonna bring to us every week is, I don't know, but he's gonna have something for us, me and Lewis.
Yeah, we really just gave him a platform. We said, just bring whatever. We don't need
Sure for
no, we're not even scripting it. Whatever he brings, we'll respond in the moment.
Yeah, he's got to give us. We got to give a take to whatever
they say in the corner, and we're gonna have to answer all the questions.
So that's Corey's Corner, but no Corey's Corner today. So all right, man, let's wrap this show up with the final word. But before we get to the final word, another message from one of our sponsors.
This next segment of Bear Down Level Up is brought to you by Eureka BI. RFPs are wasting your team's time. I can almost guarantee you. Brokers and carriers are leaving money on the table, chasing bids with spreadsheets, emails, and having zero consistency. We have a solution for that. Eureka BI has a solution for that. Eureka BI automates your RFP process, standardizing every step so your team collaborates on bids faster, smarter, with more insights to win more freight. And that's what it's all about, right? Winning freight, not just wasting time on bidding. No more reinventing the wheel on every single quote. This is a repeatable system that scales with your business. Visit eurekabi.com and start bidding with confidence. That's Eureka BI, spelled EUREEKABI.com.
All right, this is the final word, and this is really about leveling up. We talked a little bit about what we need to do to be good heavy haul specialists. We talked about what we need to do to be good truck drivers, good company owners, good brokers. So we always want to help our audience level up. But right here, I really want to give a word of encouragement. And I just want to pull it out of the good book, Matthew 9:29. And Matthew 9:29 says, according to your faith, be it unto you. And this is something that we talk about all the time, just believing in yourself. And really your faith, for me, that's going to set the ceiling for where you can go. And that faith thing is not a passive, it's not a passive thing. Faith is what you like really truly believe about yourself. What do you really truly believe about your company? What do you really truly believe about your goals and your dreams? And I'm using that word believe on purpose because that's what faith is. Faith is having a certainty about something. And we've been through a couple of things together, Louis, like I did in 2024 when I just got that number in my head and I was like, hey, well, this is what we're going to do. I even excused people if they didn't think that we can get there. And it was not going to be held against them, but like that faith thing and having that belief, I think that's whatever that is for you, that's your ceiling. And faith is not one of those things that you believe today, and then tomorrow when you got some circumstances that come in front of you, now it's all negative talk. Now it's not your circumstances, it's not your past, it's not, everything that's going on right now. You got to be able to see through all of the BS. You got to be able to see through the circumstances. You got to be able to always have your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions focused on whatever it is that you're putting your faith in, whatever it is that you believe in yourself, whatever it is that you believe that your company could accomplish, whatever the purpose is. Nothing disrupts that with your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions. So that's the final word. Look, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining in for Bear Down, Level Up. Your support is always welcome and always appreciated. Make sure that you go and subscribe to the different outlets that you're listening to this on, and make sure that you hit the notification button so you can get all the updates for when we are dropping more content. Until next down. Next down. Yeah, I'm in football. Bear down until the next down. Until next time. Or the next down. This is just first down, man. Until the next time, baby. We'll see you guys later.
Thanks for listening to the Bear Down Level Up podcast. Be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes. Until next time, keep bearing down and leveling up.